With today's webinar, the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce, data science can help your business find, reach, and engage your consumers and targets to grow revenue in the pandemic new normal with Digital Ignite. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I want to say I hope everybody is healthy and their families are healthy. And we've all been going through struggles. So we're here to be helpful in the community. Our agenda today is we've all been living through ourselves and in our businesses, whether it's a for-profit or not-for-profit, unprecedented consumer behavior changes and attitudes and habits during the pandemic. And even though we're on the other side of the mountain, as Governor Cuomo said yesterday, this is still with us. So we want to be helpful and show you some very top line, practical, useful information on data science, on programmatic media, on search engine optimization, and a little bit on web design, key best practices, and 3 real use cases from 3 of our clients to inform you, hopefully inspire you, and share something that you didn't know 10 minutes ago. We'll leave plenty of time for Q&A, and as Rebecca said, Mike, our chief data scientist and CTO, and I will share this. We're very proud of the way we work with our prospects before they become clients. Mike has a very consistent question. He always leads with what business and brand growth issues need to be solved and keep you up at night to achieve your KPIs. And that always teases out a rich level of concerns, issues, opportunities, and the KPIs that really matter. And so we always listen first. And so the first thing that I did with Rebecca and that we did to build this presentation was understand what you, the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce members, wanted. And this is what you told Rebecca. This is what she's been doing a series on. And the 3 that are there up top in bold, we're going to cover all of these today. So let's get started. You probably all saw this in the Mount Pleasant press. It was painful when Mayor Haney announced the stay at home. Charleston announced it, I think, a couple days prior. It's gradually being lifted, but COVID is still with us, unfortunately. And so what has happened as a result of stay at home? And it has been 41 days of concern, fear, pain, business impact. But a lot of people have been pivoting smartly and adjusting. And that's the thing to do. Don't be fearful. Think about what you need to adjust. Now, I went to a variety of sources. We do this daily for our clients, but I went to McKinsey 2 days ago. And there's a great article. It's linked on the bottom of this page. McKinsey has been interviewing 1,000 US consumers ages 18 plus on a weekly basis since the middle of March. And, I think we're all pretty familiar with what categories have been hit dramatically. Travel, out-of-home entertainment, apparel, footwear, home furnishings, hospitality, to add another one. But because we are working from home and sheltering in place and social distancing, there have been other categories that have benefited. Grocery, for example, even though you and I are probably going to the store fewer times per week, the trial and adoption of services like Instacart or curbside pickup have grown. I saw a statistic, the expectation for penetration of Instacart and other delivery services was like to get to 15% penetration in the next 4 years. That number's already been hit in the last 30 some odd days. Home-based entertainment, we're all watching more TV, household supplies. And bottom line, Kelsey Robinson, the partner who led this study or leading this study at McKinsey, said business leaders have plenty to learn from the changes that are currently taking place because consumers are using new products and services that they've never done before. So we all need to be aware of that as business leaders, and even if you're running a not-for-profit. So just flying through some of the issues here, not surprisingly, Gen Z and millennials have led the continued transformation at an accelerated pace to everything online. But I think every other generation is following suit very, very quickly. There are a lot of new behaviors that are being adopted. As I said, online. Online is where it's at right now, and that's our core core focus here. And so we've been pivoting with all of our clients, and you'll see some use cases. People are using websites that they've never visited before. Maybe yours, maybe your competitors. These are things you need to know. Shopping at a new grocery store. Again, stores that have pivoted or who already had infrastructure in place to accommodate delivery and curbside are thriving. Curbside restaurants. We've been doing curbside at our house. People are doing new behaviors because they have to. Video conferencing, like we're doing now. More people professionally and personally are using Zoom and Google Hangouts and others for the first time. There's also increased trial of a lot of other digital services that we've already talked about. Companies are also seeing first-time customers during the pandemic. Again, the companies who pivot smartly are the ones who are going to win the business. You want to be one of those companies. These changes could certainly create future opportunities, and retailers that keep product in stock, whether it's toilet paper or canned beans, they're the ones that have a chance to win. Also, if you're a car dealer, if you keep inventory on lot, you have a chance to win. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Mike is our chief data scientist. He's the tech head, the gear head on the team, and I've learned a ton from him. So Mike's going to do a primer on what data science is, how the world of advertising and marketing has changed, a little bit on search engine optimization and web design. Mike?
Thanks, Steve. Hey, good morning, everybody. So, in a nutshell, like Steve said, the big thing that we've been carrying to our clients from an agency standpoint that's been resonating with them and has been delivering wins to the people that have been able to stay active, and yes, the new clients that have gotten on with us in the last 8 weeks has been, how has the landscape changed for you? It always goes back to what is keeping you up at night. And it's also, what do you need to pivot right now? What data do you need to effectively execute your business model that might not have been the same business model that was in place 6-8 weeks ago? Everything's changed, and we got to be able to get going for it. And I think Steve teed into that nicely. So one of the big variances we've been doing with our clients over a lot of other people that handle things a little bit differently from the digital ad space is we extract information for each client on the identity layer. We have an in-house team of people that do this. We do our own code. It's not somebody else's product. That's so important to keep in mind. So literally what we do is we take offline and online data, conversions versus leads versus interest and inquiries, and we create meta and micro profiles based off of it. So it's not just traffic to website, which is worth volumes, but that's where so many people stop. It's actually the conversions that have come in both pre and post COVID, and establishing the database, the resonation, the messaging that the people are responding to pre and post COVID, and also what type of media they're consuming, because there's been a huge evolution for that. There's been a couple macros that have been absolutely crushed and a couple that have opened up. So I'm not going to get into the details in that, but we see that daily in our deliverables, both locally here, nationwide, and internationally with everybody that's coming in. So by being able to extract at the device ID who's coming to different websites that you own, the different sub-sites and microsites within your website, the activity they're taking, the eventual conversions. We, for each one of our clients, can build the own model, the own story for each client. And it carries so much stronger than somebody that's just selling a one-size-fits-all package. Thank you. So in a nutshell, how we do this without getting into any of the geek stuff, because we do have a lot of proprietary underlying code, is we take the data coming to the website to create a bronze standard audience. We take a look at the habits and profiles, the type of media they're consuming, but we start with, the beautiful thing is we start, what's the end result in mind? Is it sales? Is it lead? Is it brand awareness? Is it a specific report that they want filled out? Every client has their own story, and it's not just a one-size-fits-all, we want to get more sales. That's great, but how do you want sales? What products do you want to move? What's the biggest revenue generator? Where's the biggest upside for you? If we're going strictly online, where's the highest conversion rate? It's not about trying to do a one-size-fits-all package. It's measuring it, then working backwards for it. So by taking that base level audience and then take the near sale audience, we create a silver profile. And then we take a look at the actual conversions and sales to create the gold standard for the client. All of our media that we execute is done in-house on a real-time bidding platform. It's not just about filling Google and Facebook. That's great. It combined Google's 17% of the overall internet. Most people are shocked when they hear that. Facebook is their own little marketplace, and they are important. But anybody that just has you living within one or two of those realms is not doing you business. So what we have done is we have built our own multiple demand side platform, multiple exchanges. We work with 238 different networks. So there's a lot of websites that will monetize their inventory off Google, but they'll have Google compete with 10 or 12 other competitors. A lot of people don't know that. We have partnerships with every single one of them. What this allows us to do is get placement everywhere, basically, with the exception of parts of North Korea and China. And it allows us to get the best price possible for our clients. So it's not about being cheap. It's about getting the best value for your marketing dollar. And that's one of the things time and time again that we've been able to show value on. A couple standard, and once again, just for the sake of the summary, we can go into a lot more detail if anybody wants to have a conversation, but a couple standardized methods that we use from an agency standpoint, from a digital, is behavioral and geographic outreach. And once again, it's so important that we stress that we use your data, not third-party data, whenever possible. Contextual, strategic retargeting, and it's so important. We don't just put a pixel up there and let it go. We actually use a tactical approach to this. We definitely use geofencing. We call it conquest targeting. That, once again, has to be strategic. It's not just about placing a fence and gathering information. What are you going to do with that data? Influencer marketing, missed by so many people that are in this space. Matching the profile of your consumer up with the right influencer, getting them to carry your messaging. And last but not least, which is gold standard for us, is the IP targeting. It's not just about using cookies, it's about using identity layer technology to target people. So another thing that's very, very important and that we make sure that every one of our clients have is a strong search engine optimization. So SEO is about 7% of the battle, but it's the first 7% you got to get into play. This is your reactive, the people that are searching you. You want to show up when you have warm leads. So it's about high rankings. We are not fans of pay-per-click advertising here for a bunch of reasons. We'll use it when necessary, but having good SEO to back it up is so important. And you want to be there when people are interested in looking to find the right results. So this is definitely a lead-in for us. It's the base layer. It's like if you're building a house, it's part of the foundation. SEO is important because it gives you a lot of immediate results quickly for everything. You want to show up not only when somebody searches your name, but when somebody's looking in market, somebody's looking into a potential competitor or a network. So for example, if you had a paint store in Charleston, you know, and your paint store was ABC Paint Store, not only would you want to show up as ABC Paint Store or ABC Paint Store Charleston, but if you were ABC Paint Store Mount Pleasant, or where can I buy paint in Mount Pleasant, or I need help painting in Mount Pleasant. So once again, it's not about just having one narrow approach. It's about having a tactical strategy with the right partners that can paint a broad picture for you. Web design and development is so important with it. This is the other part of the foundation of your house. The websites generally have three macro goals. One could be information. Number two is lead generation. Number three is revenue generation. You know, depending on the client, it might be all three, it might be two, three, it might just be one, but it's so important that it's modern, it's stylized, it's trackable, and that it loads fast and gives people the information. If you're not up to date, if your website looks like it was built 15 years ago, you immediately lose credibility. So visualization and creative components are so important to getting the job done. And as the last and another big differentiator, and this is just an example, data delivery, data optimization, and understanding your data and being able to make business decisions is so important. We see so many people in this space that send people an email or a report at the end of the month, like, here's the clicks and impressions you got for your money. That's great. What did I learn from it? How do I make decisions off of it? And how do I grow off it? So we have a robust data management platform that we build SQL and Python level I know that's nerdy. That means we can code it out in the client's needs. Every client's their own story, and how they visualize their data is their own story. Everything's drillable, which means, for example, if you're looking at the impression load right here, impressions by age, and where it says right in the middle, 619,000 impressions. If I want to take that look at that blue bar, which is my youngest age, and I want to see the people that we had conversions off of, you can go in and take a look at that. So not only do you see the data, you can see the end results of the data. Then you can make decisions off of it. I'm going to go over, I believe I'm going to cover Palmetto Goodwill and Curtis Chevrolet, and Steve's going to go over the River Dogs with it. So we have a couple scalable clients. These are our local regional clients. We are very proud that we deal with people all over the country. And these are 3 clients that we have seen great pivots and great results pre and post COVID. Real quick before we get into it, just to kind of show you the broad scope of what a database platform is capable of. We deal with clients all over the world. Very, very proud that we represent some of the top consumer packaged goods, automotive, and tour travel destinations in the world. And as a statement to what data can do for you, you see some of these bigger, especially the resort entities that have totally pulled back. They have remained on engagements with us, not necessarily in booking rooms anymore, but it's all about data summaries, data aggregations, and taking a look at the evolution of what the consumer is going to be looking for coming out of it. So there's so much more that can be done, once again, besides ad serve. It gets way more deeper than that. I got it. First example we're going to go to is Palmetto Goodwill. It's been a staple of the community for years and years. I'm very proud to say that we've dealt with Matt Spath and the Palmetto Goodwill team since our inception 6 years ago. And we have grown steadily with them every single year. During COVID-19, as everybody knows, retail got shut down, brick and mortar got shut down. It was a very, very scary time. It's still scary. But if you look back in time, 30 days ago, everybody was like, man, this is bad. So we had a couple quick pivots with Palmetto Goodwill. The first thing was we moved from driving people to store to moving to palmettogoodwill.org, their online retail shop. We also went back to donations and to employment. A lot of people don't know that Palmetto Goodwill is a great job creator and a great educator. And with unemployment going up, people needed help. So we made a very quick pivot to what can be done on a macro level. It still got great results for them. First thing we did is, we drew fencing around the location. We redefined the geographical components, knowing that while Palmetto Goodwill is generally from a retail standpoint a value play, with everything going on, everybody was looking to pinch a couple pennies. So we expanded the fences, and we were able to target more people to drive them to palmettogoodwill.org. So instead of coming in, if you're in Mount Pleasant, to the store at 6 Mile, the call to action, the messaging was to go online and to make a purchase online. We took a look at the behavior for the people that were showing fear and that were showing extreme concern over job, financial, which was a lot of people, as everybody knows, financial concerns, job concerns, and wanted to pinch every penny. So we created a brand new meta audience as a lookalike of his current buyers and what the markets were showing us, and delivered very specific ads to come online, save a couple bucks, and shop at palmettogoodwill.org. We were able to show a very positive, a very millennial, a very Gen Z approach to it. It worked really well. Save money, look great, have a good time, be safe from home. Couple of examples of the creative that we absolutely crushed in the last 45 days with this campaign. On top of that, a great opportunity was for Palmetto Goodwill to help people that lost jobs to get back on their feet, to get the career and financial assistance they need. Palmetto Goodwill does such a good job training, educating, growing people in our community and all over South Carolina. They did great. We did an extra emphasis, of course, on the job creation, employment assistance. And we targeted people that had recently lost their jobs in meta markets and through device ID trends. I'm going to pivot to Curtis Chevrolet, which is a small market Chevrolet dealership up in North Carolina. Great people, also been with us for years. So as everybody knows with automotive, the whole macro went from coming on the lot to buying online. The sales cycle in 2019 was 7 to 8 days, and we were able to pivot and get great lead generation and great sales to stay within that macro, driving to online test drives from home, everything they would need to continue to do, to take a look at it. With Curtis Chevrolet, we took a look at their sales, their past sales for the 90 days, created what's called a lookalike model based off device IDs within their meta markets, within their DMAs, and we established people that fit the profile within a 5% margin of error. It served very specific COVID-related messaging. We carried Chevrolet's messaging for the financial assistance they offered through the COVID presence. And we drove people right to the website to take a look at trade valuation, conversions, book a test drive from home where somebody can come pick you up and do a test drive, financing and best price possible. CRM and prospect leads are so important because the real-time data updates, it's able to show us who's resonating and who's converting. So over time, based off the CRM with Curtis Chevrolet, we're able to see who's responding to the new ad set and tweak the outreach that we were doing based on people most likely to convert. Using IP targeting without going into everything, we sat down with them and we created a message for these 5% match back to their current buyers, created a great audience for everybody to go after for Curtis Chevrolet, save a lot of money, get great financing, Curtis Cares, messaging and conversion, sign up to get a test drive and get a great vehicle at a great price in 2020. The end results were phenomenal. We used very aggressive messaging. We used Chevrolet-backed savings and incentives, and we were able to match back close to 50 automobiles sold during April in the worst month that anybody's ever seen. So while it was down a little bit year over year for a small volume dealership, they did phenomenal, all things considered. The overall market was down close to 80%, and we crushed the overall market working with Curtis for this. Curtis Cares was the message in the macro, and it was all about being behind the consumer. Just kind of a summary of everything that went down. The overall vehicles sold were 81. They sold 90 vehicles in March 2019. So while their vehicles were down slightly, we had 60 vehicles sold. I was down a little bit, 55. My apologies on that. So phenomenal. We hit 80% of what their normal volume was with it. And once again, this was all about IP targeting people in market for a vehicle that matches for Curtis. The message was pivoted and everything was delivered as standard to the client. Great results, very, very finite message. Steve, why don't you talk about the River Dogs?
Thanks, Mike. And the headline on those two pandemic pivot examples is don't be fearful. And that's, easier said than done. Step back and evaluate your consumer, evaluate your KPIs, find a business partner, of all types, your CPA included, and your team, and figure out what are my opportunities? What do I need to adjust in an agile way? And be sensitive to the times that we're living in. Now, we all know that the River Dogs, the MLB and the minor season has not started. This is not a pandemic example, although the River Dogs have been doing incredible pivoting to stay relevant and connected to the community. We wanted to show an example from 2 years ago. We've been working with the River Dogs for 3 years, and we love them, and we miss them. Walter, we miss you guys. We love working with them. It's a fun team, and they know how to make fun. So this is an example from the 2018 season. It was their 25th year as a team. In 2017, they had a record-breaking 305,622 fans come to the Joe. That set a record. For their 25th season, they wanted to break that record. They hosted 70 games in a 140-game schedule. And the KPI that they set with us, and we built a plan around, was we want the best possible cost per acquisition, CPA, as low as possible, to sell the most tickets, not just in Charleston, as you'll see in a minute. So we used Facebook, Google AdWords, programmatic display and retargeting. We used a lot of the different tools in our toolbox. As you probably know, if you live in Charleston, the mantra for the River Dogs is make fun. And they certainly do that with their promotional schedule and what happens on the field. So we used a lot of those assets and deployed them days in advance to optimize fan engagement online and increase ticket sales. We use display outreach parameters going beyond, in addition to the Charleston DMA. And we ended up being able to attribute sales from people that live in 37 states. We obviously have a lot of visitors in Charleston, and 4 countries. What were the results? Well, from a programmatic standpoint, the River Dogs budget achieved a $7 to $1 return. So $7 in revenue generated for every dollar of media invested from their programmatic media. That's a $6.13 cost per acquisition. The average transaction was $46 for 4 tickets. Pretty good. Facebook, that was a $4.50 to $1 return on advertising spent. Again, very good average check and 4 tickets. AdWords, that was a return on advertising spend of 3 to 1. That was less than 1/2 of our programmatic display. And ultimately, the 2018 season had about a 25% improvement in digital advertising generated revenue versus 2017, importantly with a 22% decrease in display ad spending. So a great story, and we can't wait until they start this season. So going back to our friends at McKinsey, these are some of the things they concluded at the end of their study. It's very important, as we've been saying, for anybody, C-suite and everybody, every frontline manager, to basically be ambidextrous. You know, we are not done with COVID. It's going to be with us. We all need to think about the future, not just the present. We need to maintain a constant real-time understanding of how our consumers' behaviors, habits, what their preferences are, how they are changing, and be very, very, very agile in every way possible. And if you do that, there are new products and services that I said earlier that consumers haven't used before, haven't gone to before. There are opportunities for the ones that are focused on where the hockey puck is going. And bottom line, online is where it's at, whether it's your phone, your tablet, your laptop. We have all shifted. The adoption of all sorts of digital technology, online technology, has accelerated. It's time to capture that demand. So with that, we're open for a Q&A. We're at the 30-minute mark, so Mike and I have plenty of time here to answer questions. So Rebecca, back to you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I learned a lot of new acronyms this morning. So and I like that. I've always enjoyed acronyms. It's very cool. Thank you so much. We do have some questions. Here is the first one. How do we identify influencers and negotiate an affiliate relationship?
So we have an exchange that handles all that. If you're doing it yourself, I mean, there is a bit of grunt work behind it. You know, it's a lot of contacting, a lot of PR stuff, but the way we've handled it, because we do have a lot of volume, and, you know, a lot of the influencers know that we represent people and we are very serious when we engage people. We can identify people. You know, an example of what we would do is we would take a look at your sales manifest, and just like we'd match back media consumption, we'd match back to relative influencers, either on a micro scale locally or regionally, or on a macro scale for bigger national-wide influencers or even international influencers, the people most likely to resonate with your client base. And then we would, through a couple exchange and bidding processes, we would negotiate several at one time. And we like to turn it in a perfect world and make them compete against each other for the best fit for you at the best value possible.
Yeah, and to go back to what Mike was talking about before on IP targeting, part of that is we also can tell, going back months, what media people are reading, what magazines, what TV shows, et cetera. So when we work with our clients, when we're using that data science information, we can also identify who they are following, what influencers are following, what magazines they're reading, what shows they're watching, and that gives us fact-based insight even before we get to the negotiation phase.
Absolutely.
Hope that helps.
Yes, very good. Here's another question. What type of budget is necessary to implement a program not including CPC or keyword buys?
So every client's their own story. It depends on how big you want to hit. We don't execute cost per click or pay-per-click buys unless the client absolutely dictates it or it's necessary. For the Charleston DMA, in a perfect world, we would recommend probably around 5,000 a month. However, it can go bigger than that over time. It could be 10, it could be 15. And there might be cases where it's a little bit less than that. Every client is their own story. I mean, we have clients ranging from a few thousand a month to 6 figures a month plus. So it depends on what your needs and what's keeping you up at night and where you want to hit.
Yeah, and going back to, again, something Mike said earlier, we have our own operations team, media operations team, led by our head of operations, Chris Clark, who co-founded Digital Ignite with Mike and with Ed Seeger, our CEO. We've got a team of specialists that have been trained. It's like Wall Street a buying room. We do our own real-time bidding. So we've compared our costs, and our clients come to us and they're shocked by our prices. And again, it depends who you're trying to reach and what media they watch, but our prices only have our markup, so not the double markup that most agencies have. So
yeah, and that's the beautiful thing behind it. I mean, and I want to stress one thing, and we're not trying to be too pitchy, we're trying to be informative, but we don't outsource anything. So there's a lot of media companies that sell this and they go through a wholesaler who goes through a distributor and then down to somebody like us. So great value at that point. And I guess the answer to whoever asked it, we don't see the questions popping up, would be, we'd hit us up and ask, and we, without any cost or obligation, we'd tell you. But any good digital agency would as well too.
Yeah,
there's no set answer to that.
We invest time up front listening, and we'll do some homework as part of our early discussions with people. So contact us. Our emails are on the page that you're looking at right now. Next question.
Well, that's what I have this morning. I wonder if you have any closing thoughts.
So, we just went through a very scary time, but we are seeing some definite turns and trends in consumption patterns and buying behaviors. I know depending on what media source you look at, it could be either very glum or somewhat optimistic at this point. Through sister companies, we do a lot of tracking on COVID data. We have a relationship with FEMA. We started seeing trends that the contagion was high, but the lethality rate might be a little bit lower about 6 weeks ago, and we continue to see that trend. So my closing thoughts would be, as we break out of this and you get your messaging back out there, make sure you're taking a strategic data-based approach. Make sure you have the right partner to help you carry that message. And, I think everything's going to be all right. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to get through this. And we are definitely seeing some trends that did not exist a month ago, which is great.
And I have 3 closing thoughts. First, and I was trained in this at Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola, where I spent most of my career. Start with your consumer. Start with your consumer, do your research, talk to your consumers, see what's changing in their lives. Number 2, as we say here, data is the new oil. And you may have heard that elsewhere over the last 10 years. Data can inform strategically and tactically everything you do if you use it right. And then thirdly, we're all living online. We're living on our phones. So make sure you're mobile first in everything you do. That's where your consumers are going to search for you, find you, and buy your products and build a long-term relationship, hopefully, with you. Again, for the Digital Ignite team, we've all been hustling. We literally just started coming back to the office yesterday, so we have been living through this as well, pivoting and adapting with all of our clients and working virtually. And thank goodness, you would expect in a digital agency, we had all kinds of enterprise digital platforms. So not only did we not miss a heartbeat, we actually thrived. It was an amazing use case of our own to see happen. And I would encourage everybody in any kind of business or not for profit, keep your head up, be optimistic, find out what your consumer is going through and be very empathetic, and then find partners to help you. There are opportunities for those who keep their wits about them and who are agile and aren't wed to their business models of the past, because guess what? Those business models died in early March. They're gone forever.
Well, and Mike, I want to repeat what you said earlier. Every client is their own story. And obviously you do a great job at telling it at Digital Ignite Advertising. That really, that made an impression on me, that you listen and you're able to tell their story.
Absolutely right. Nothing prepackaged. And that's why, with the budget question, I mean, if somebody's interested, just hit me up and we'll have a conversation, no obligation. And, if everybody we partner with, we want to build something to solve their problems. It's not about packages or revenue or budget. It's about how can we grow you? That's the name of the game.
And as Steve Jobs famously used to say, I've got one more thing. I want to thank Palmetto Goodwill, a long time, actually from the inception of the agency, partner. Thank you, Matt, for letting us share your use case. Curtis Chevrolet in Morehead City, North Carolina, thank you very much for being such a great partner with Kathy and our team. And Walter and the River Dogs, we love you, we miss you. Open the stadium, please, quickly.
Well, on behalf of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank Mike Samet, who is the CTO and Chief Data Scientist with Digital Ignite Advertising, and of course, Steve Cook. Thank you so much for working with me. You're the Chief Marketing Officer for Digital Ignite Advertising, for putting on this webinar. And thank you to our members who participated this morning. Again, we'll have it recorded on our cloud in just about probably 15 minutes. Will be up on our YouTube channel. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great, safe day. Bye.
Have a great day. Thank you.